Kevin O'Leary believes NFTs will become more useful and more valuable than Bitcoin. People would have laughed at you if you had told them a decade ago that NFTs will become more useful and more valuable than Bitcoin. The internet has made it easier than ever just to learn about anything you want. So, with all this content and information available, how did you know which ones to learn from and which ones actually work? Luckily for you, Nugget Lover, for today's video, we'll be talking about Kevin O'Leary. Did you know that he believes NFTs will become more useful and more valuable than Bitcoin? Remember that while the first step is completing any of this amazing information, the second and possibly more important step is taking action, even if it's imperfect action. Mr. Wonderful, also known as Kevin O'Leary, recently added a new string to his bow. The crypto enthusiast and Shark Tank judge has his image turned into an NFT. Non-fungible tokens, or NFTs as they are officially known, were huge last year. Unfortunately, along with many other digital assets, the NFT market has cooled off recently. O'Leary, however, thinks that this lull won't last forever. He stated in a tweet from last month that, in my opinion, non-fungible tokens will only increase in value and utility. NFTs are essentially a blockchain-based digital certificate of ownership. They might be images, work of art, songs, or game items. The Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs, which have evolved into something of a status symbol for celebrities, and BP's Everyday's The First 5,000 Days, which sold for over $69 million, are two of the more well-known NFTs. Why Mr. Wonderful thinks well of NFTs? O'Leary was initially drawn to NFTs because of their potential for physical asset authentication. He owns a sizable collection of modern art and watches and claims that NFTs provide a way to insure items when they are spread out across different cities or are being lent out. The multi-billionaire investor described how he believes NFTs can have a twofold impact on the art world in an interview with The Observer. One way is through direct sales of images, but he cautions that the prices of these can be wildly volatile. The other is through businesses that cater to NFT industry. He refers to them as picks and shovels. O'Leary likened the NFT market to the California gold rush and emphasized that it was preferable to own the equipment to support the miners rather than go gold planning on your own. O'Leary invested in NFT.com as a result of this conviction. He now owns the artwork as well as the NFT portrait of him by Udo Spritzenbart that we previously mentioned. Furthermore, his insurance provider has access to the NFT. It's important to note that O'Leary is not generally upbeat about NFTs. He believes that some NFTs will succeed while others will fail because we are only in the first inning. He believes the industry will experience extreme volatility in its infancy, much like Amazon did. He predicted that while some of them would survive with arrows in their backs, others would be unharmed. Why Mr. Wonderful believes that NFT producers need to exercise caution. O'Leary believes that NFT developers should exercise caution for additional reasons beside volatility. The second factor is how we define NFTs. There are stringent regulations regarding how NFTs can be traded in the United States and what information traders must disclose if authorities decide they are securities rather than commodities. Since many cryptocurrency projects may be operating as unregistered securities, the SEC has stated that they face similar issues. The entire industry is under a cloud until there is more regulatory clarity. O'Leary clarifies, consider that you purchase an NFT that entitles you to tickets for the Formula One race in Miami in February. It's currently one of the practical benefits of owning that NFT. Is that a currency, a commodity, or a security, such as a dividend-paying stock? Unregistered securities trading may present difficulties. Because of this, he continues, I'm very hesitant to get involved with NFTs at this time. Understanding what you're buying and potential risk is crucial if you're thinking about purchasing NFTs. O'Leary calls attention to two crucial ones. Authorities could change how NFTs are classified and the value could drop to zero. Although the technology will probably become more useful, not all NFTs will necessarily increase in value. There are no guarantees in this market, which is extremely unpredictable. Shark Tank host Kevin O'Leary has changed over the past few years from being skeptical of cryptocurrencies to becoming an enthusiast, investor, and evangelist. He holds several positions in the business and has evolved into a compensated spokesperson and brand ambassador for the cryptocurrency exchange FTX. One of our mentors talks about how his experience as a venture capitalist and software investor influences his financial choices, how the regulatory environment has changed over time, and how cryptocurrency fits into a diversified portfolio in this interview. He also has some very intriguing ideas about how investors should balance Bitcoin and Ether in NFTs. How do you go about making cryptocurrency investments? O'Leary, my largest position is in Ether, which is larger than Bitcoin. It's because a large number of financial services and transactions take place there. Even brand new software is being created, such as Polygon, which groups transactions and lowers the overall cost of gas fees for Ethereum. I also have a stake in that. Therefore, in my opinion, the best way to look at this is whether you prefer Bitcoin to Ether. And I frequently get asked about this. Do you prefer Solana over Polygon, Hedera, and all that? I have a different perspective. Bitcoin is software to me. I don't think it's as a coin or token. Software is a Bitcoin. Software is Ethereum. Software is Hedera. I spent my entire professional life making investments in software development teams. At the learning company, and after I carried out those activities, I frequently invest money with software developers, coders, and programmers with whom I work. As a result, I just think of the entire cryptocurrency industry as a group of software development teams, and I spend my time talking to them. Recently returned from Dubai where I met a Polygon team, basing my investment choices on their technical prowess. I am aware that the market will determine who will succeed and fall with these platforms. But in the end, you want to bet on the really talented creative software engineers. That's what I've done as well. How does your portfolio currently look? O'Leary, I frequently get that question, so I've decided to just publish it, which I'll do at the end of this month. I'm going to disclose everything because I want to avoid ever being accused of endorsing a token or coin. I currently hold a number of positions. I object to that. I'll be revealing that in a moment because I make long-term investments here. But I've already covered a few of the ones I have. I have stakes in Hedera, Polygon, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Serum, all of which are bets on software development teams and have a ton of potential applications. Over time, I believe a wide range of new use cases will materialize. For instance, because it's too slow, I'm not sure Ethereum is the best platform for financial services transactions. How can that be fixed? Or perhaps you consolidate transactions using Polygon. I want to place different bets because it's possible that some nations like India would find it to be too expensive. What traits or characteristics will distinguish the winners from the losers? O'Leary, the platform's value and success are ultimately determined by the rate and depth of adoption. That happens when the group creates a platform that resolves a financial issue. Regarding digital currencies and platforms, I always say this: what issue are you addressing? Are you improving a transaction and lowering market friction? Increasing transaction accuracy or speed? Or by verifying them? What are you doing that is worthwhile financially? I would contend that long-term coins are worthless economically because they don't solve any problems or add any value. Long-term, I have a lot of doubts about meme coins. Ethereum's current size is due to the fact that it was the first and was widely used. Now, these other teams, Polygon, Solana, and others are saying, well, it's not good enough for that what we're doing. This is because some of its flaws are being noticed by some sectors of the economy. We'll also make some adjustments in this area. That is definitely something worth your money. What exactly is a bubble, and do you believe we are living in one? O'Leary, what a wonderful question. I have observed bubbles develop, burst, and do everything else. The market is the market, and that is important to understand. Despite what some people say, no one can control it. Every second, millions of decisions about what something is worth are made, and it holds true for all markets, including those for tulips, watches, Bitcoin, gold, and real estate. When a large number of people participate in an asset class and millions of people buy and sell it, the dynamics are the same. I only have faith in the market prices. You can't say whether something is overvalued or undervalued. The market does that for you. You can place a long-term wager on why it will increase in value over time. However, when you begin to describe something as being in a bubble, you're actually indicating that you're going to engage in some market timing and that you must know something that everyone else does not. And occasionally, you might be right. However, in the long run, it's a losing endeavor. In this case, allocation and diversification are my guiding principles. Therefore, you might be correct if you tell me that Bitcoin is overvalued and in a bubble. But it doesn't really matter to me whether or not money is allocated to Bitcoin because it's a commodity that millions of people own. Additionally, the market price is set continuously throughout the day. It's an asset, not a currency, in my opinion. I like the software engineering that went to it. In my opinion, all of the ESG-related problems will be resolved within the next few years. Additionally, mining will be done more effective. But I adore the market for what it is. That's a really long way of saying that you can't tell when something is a bubble. And if you believe you do, you are wholly mistaken. What role do you think cryptocurrency plays in your readers' diversified portfolios? I always provide the same response. It's a binary choice. First off, there are no allocation issues because a lot of people are still opposed to it and have doubts about it. For those of us who have changed our minds, and I count myself among these groups, I now believe that software development is an actual asset class with economic value and that I ought to invest in it. Diversification is therefore my second concern. I now have very straightforward rules that dictate how I should own stocks and bonds, which have been around for hundreds of years. I never allowed a single stock to make up more than 5% of any portfolio's weighting, and I never allowed a sector, there are 11 in the S&P, to make up more than 20%. I continue to follow the same guidelines I did for them. Why don't you just own Bitcoin and Ethereum? Some people ask me. Everything is correlated with their prices. That's not what I think is true. First, I want to invest in a variety of other economic applications, software, and level half blockchains, aside from Bitcoin. Building a portfolio is what I'm attempting to do. At some point, it might account for 20% of my operating company, but for now, it's only about 10.5%. However, no single token coin or chain in that portfolio makes up more than 5% of the total. In light of volatility, I am indeed actively adding and trimming. And over the past couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of that. Second, I'm staking a lot of money. I use the FTX platform to stake the majority of my positions. Note, O'Leary is a paid spokesperson. And because I'm now beginning to pay for assets and receive payment in the stablecoin, I also hold a sizable position in USDC. So it now counts as another currency in my holdings. Additionally, I stake that. Circle and I are collaborating on that. One of the first business accounts to open there was mine. Who really Kevin O'Leary is? Canadian businessman, author, and television personality Kevin O'Leary. He was a founding member of the software firm SoftKey. He was raised by his businesswoman mother and stepfather in Montreal, where he was born. He initially wanted to be a photographer, but as time went on, he began to look up to his mother, a successful businesswoman. Kevin graduated from the University of Western Ontario with an MBA. He established Special Event Television, which produced sports programs in 1980. Along with John Freeman and Gary Babcock, he co-founded the business SoftKey Software Products in 1986. The business produced computer software and associated goods. Over the course of the following 2 decades, SoftKey acquired nearly all of its competitors in the North American market and changed its name to The Learning Company in 1999. Kevin made the decision to sell the business to Mattel, making him a multi-millionaire. He began making appearances on various talk and reality shows in the middle of the 2000s. He made the decision to run for office in 2017 and contested the elections to become the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. He resigned though a month before the election, citing Quebecers' lack of support. Terence Thomas Kevin O'Leary was born on July 9, 1954, to Terry and Georgette O'Leary in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Georgette, his mother, ran a small business and was an investor. Terry, his father, worked in sales. Kevin was born an Irish citizen because his father was an Irish citizen, alongside his brother Shane he grew up with. While Kevin was growing up, life was not particularly simple. Due to financial difficulties at work, his father had become an alcoholic over time. His parents' bitter divorce was caused by this. Soon after, his father passed away, and his mother took over the management of the family business. Later, his mother wed George Kanawati, an economist who worked for the International Labor Organization, an organization run by the United Nations. Kevin moved with the family as a result of his stepfather's job, which required him to move frequently. His early years were primarily spent in Tunisia, Cambodia, and Cyprus. The main factor influencing Kevin's interest in business was his mother. In his teenage years, he had begun to work. He worked at an ice cream shop as one of his first positions. Kevin completed his high school education at St. George's School in Quebec before enrolling at Stansted College to complete his bachelor's degree. Later, he attended the University of Waterloo where he earned degrees in psychology and environmental studies. He had initially intended to become a photographer, but his mother's influence led him to change his mind and pursue a career in business. He attended the University of Western Ontario's Ivory Business School, where he earned an MBA in 1980. He was a college student when his mother passed away. He didn't learn about his mother's excellent investment abilities until she gave him her will. He researched the strategies his mother had employed and made plans for the future using that information. He began his career with an internship at the Toronto-based Nabisco company while pursuing his MBA. He was subsequently given a promotion to the position of assistant brand manager for the company's line of cat food. Later, Kevin claimed that Nabisco had taught him a lot of things that had helped him make some wise choices when he founded his own business. Kevin began his job search after receiving his MBA. Together with Dave Toms and Scott McKenzie, two of his MBA classmates, Kevin began a brief career as a TV producer. Later, the three of them established Special Event Television, a sport broadcasting business. The business operated independently and aired some significant sporting events like the Original Six and Hockey Legends. The company also created low-budget TV programs, documentaries about soccer, and other sports. Kevin, however, had higher goals. He started working independently on launching his own business after selling his share in the company to one of his partners. Midway through the 1980s, the popularity of computers was just beginning. In 1986, Kevin pounced on the chance and founded his own software business, which he named SoftKey. Together with John Freeman and Gary Babcock, he founded the business. It was the first Canadian business to use consumer goods model in the computer software sector. In the ensuing years, as computers became more affordable, more and more families purchased them, raising the demand for software. Software for education and entertainment was produced and sold by SoftKey. The business grew significantly by the late 1980s. The same business model was adopted by a number of additional businesses, but Kevin's strategic business mind destroyed all of the rivals. The business eventually acquired the firms that fiercely competed with SoftKey. Early in the 1990s, SoftKey acquired Spinnaker Software and WordStar, two of its most significant rivals. A significant announcement regarding the acquisition of the learning company by SoftKey for a staggering $606 million was made in 1995. After that, SoftKey became the learning company. Its corporate offices were shifted to Massachusetts, USA. The acquisition, however, resulted in significant losses for the business. Kevin sold the business to the toy manufacturer Mattel in 1999. Kevin left Mattel when it too began experiencing significant losses. The acquisition deal, which cost a staggering $4.2 billion, was later referred to as one of the worst business deals in recent memory. Kevin wanted to buy the Atari video game studio in the middle of 2000s, but the deal never went through. Instead, he joined Storage Now Holdings as a co-investor and an active director in 2003. He had invested about $500,000 in the share purchase. 4 years later, he sold them for $4.5 million. He established the mutual fund company, O'Leary Funds, in 2008. Kevin serves as the business's chairman and lead investor, with his brother Shane serving as the company's director. Kevin invested in a few other businesses and funds and amassed a huge fortune. Kevin made his television debut in 2006 with the Canadian program Dragon's Den. The program's novel idea allowed contestants to present their business plans to investors. On the show, Kevin was a venture capitalist. He presented a strong, direct demeanor. Kevin made an appearance as one of the judges on the American version of Dragon's Den, dubbed Shark Tank. In 2009, in 2014, Kevin left the program. He made the appearance in the 2008 episode of Project Earth on the Discovery Channel. 2011 saw the release of his debut book, Cold Hard Truth, on business, money, and life. As follow-ups to the first book, he published 2 more books in which he advised his readers on how he handled different facets of life, including business, education, and careers. When Kevin ran for the position of Conservative Party of Canada leader in 2017, he also dabbed in politics. He backed out of the elections, however, citing Quebec's lack of support. In 1954, Kevin O'Leary was conceived into a middle-class family. O'Leary was truly born for business because of his mother's merchant family background and his father's charismatic Irish heritage. Most of Kevin's business intuition comes from his mother. She gave him important financial and business lessons at a young age. These ideas became Kevin's guiding principles and the cornerstones on which he would eventually construct his empire. When Kevin was a teenager, his perspective on business underwent a significant change. Kevin was scooping ice cream at the front of the store on his second day of work at a nearby ice cream parlor when his boss entered. She turned to face Kevin and gave him an unexpected task to complete. What followed had a lasting impression on Kevin that he carried out with him for the rest of his life. Kevin's natural business sense helped him along many different paths while he was an undergraduate, including some extremely unusual and entrepreneurial ways to turn a profit. Kevin had a meeting soon after earning his MBA that completely altered his life. He came across a man who had a peculiar software product idea, which Kevin immediately recognized as having enormous high profit potential. The opportunity that Kevin saw eventually became a computer software behemoth that was acquired for more than $4 billion after years of ups and downs, sacrifices, difficulties, and lessons learned. Not to mention a crucial phone call that almost cost him everything. After experiencing extraordinary success at the software company he founded, Kevin eventually found himself on television. He quickly established himself as a popular host and personality on a variety of programs, including Discovery's Project Earth, CBC's Dragon's Den, and ABC's Shark Tank. Since then, Kevin has established O'Leary Funds, an investment fund company, O'Leary Fine Wines, and a best-selling financial literacy book series. In 2014, Kevin established the O'Leary Financial Group, a collection of companies and products that adhere to his core values of openness, simplicity, convenience, and most importantly, excellent value. An author, politician, businessman, and television personality from Canada named Kevin O'Leary has a $400 million fortune. He's best known for founding the software company Softkey International and the reality TV programs Shark Tank and Dragon's Den. After months of public rumors, O'Leary finally entered the conservative leadership race on January 18, 2017. He was frequently compared by the media to US President Donald Trump during his campaign because both were successful businessmen who became more well-known through reality television and ran on platforms that included reducing taxes and regulations. O'Leary has rejected comparisons, pointing out that he differs from Trump on the issue of immigration and that he wouldn't exist if Canada had walls. O'Leary is himself the descendant of Irish and Lebanese immigrants. On April 26, 2017, he declared his withdrawal from the leadership race, stating that while he still thought he could win, it would be selfish of him to continue because the lack of support he would receive in Quebec would make it difficult for him to unseat Justin Trudeau in 2019. O'Leary and his wife Linda have been together since 1990. There was a brief 2-year separation in 2011. She works for O'Leary Wines as Vice President of Marketing. 2 kids were born to the couple. Although he keeps homes in Boston and Geneva, Switzerland, as well as a cottage in Muskoka, Ontario, his primary residence is in Toronto. That's it for this video, Nugget Lover. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and if you feel like we've delivered value, please share this video with one person. That's right, just one person as a token of your appreciation for the hard work we put into making content that educates and helps you on your mission of building your own fortune. Remember, you can watch video after video, but it isn't until you actually take action that you'll start to see results. See you soon!